I wanted to ask you this, all right?
Yeah,
let me, because I'm thinking of canceling Twitter.
You're gonna get rid of Twitter itself,
right? I think I might delete my account.
No, when you said that, I'm gonna cancel Twitter. It's gone. I'm gonna call up Elon Musk.
Screw those guys. No, here's a question for you. Can you think of any potential social media? Maybe it doesn't exist now, but maybe it'll be in the future that wouldn't be worth a Catholic going on.
Would not be?
Yeah, and I don't mean because it's necessarily intrinsically evil, so I guess anyone could go on something that's not intrinsically evil, but can you envision
it's not worth
a social media that just is not worth your time going on? Maybe it's now, maybe it's...
I think in general, there's a lot of social media that's not worth doing.
Can you think of what's the least... what's the one not worth your time? Like, I think of TikTok. And I think if you're someone who's on TikTok, you're probably a bad person. Sorry, but like, can you think of a social media that you're like, I just don't want to spend my time there because the platform sucks?
I got a call. It's from that's weird. It's from the Chinese country code.
So weird.
Calling me right now. Hello?
All right. So like right now I'm on TikTok because Neil and others upload my shorts to there.
Yeah.
But I hate myself for being on TikTok and want to cancel that or have them delete me.
Well, there's a difference when you say being on TikTok, like your content is there, or you spend time there.
Never. No, I don't suck. But so I think we could say there are less helpful social media platforms.
I don't know.
Like YouTube seems to me
a difference there.
Can be used in a way that's beneficial to you in a way that TikTok can't.
Like there's a difference. For example, I think it's great when mine and yours content is on social media. But us being on social media is different. I ignore my kids. I ignore my wife.
But aren't we just fueling a platform so that others can get addicted to it? Hang on, let me just ask the question again. Do you agree that some social media is better than other social media?
Yeah, I think...
And what would be an example of one that's better than another?
I think that... Remember LiveJournal? You were never on LiveJournal. That was in the early 2000s. That was actually bad. That was it was diaries that people could read, and people would vent all their stuff. But at least you wrote a lot. I think Facebook can be better than Twitter. Here's where I think social media gets bad.
Okay,
it gets worse as it truncates human interaction.
Okay,
so for example, what makes Twitter very stressful is you only have 280 characters per tweet to respond. So it incentivizes you to be very blunt with people. Because normally if I was to talk with someone, I would preface things, I would acknowledge agreement. You know, in a normal conversation, there's no one telling me, oh, you're out of words now. I can use as many words as I want to engage you.
That makes sense to me.
But when I'm restricted with my words, I might think, the less essential words I'm going to get rid of, but they actually are essential. They're to keep me from sounding like a jerk.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just going to communicate the information content.
Yes.
Convert to Catholicism.
Yes.
But I need everything else to communicate to a whole person. So I think social media that starts to truncate things.
I like that. Because I've had that in my head, right? That Facebook seems better than Twitter, but I can't tell why. I'm not saying Facebook's good.
But you can write a whole post and explain something.
Yeah.
And it's not in a big thread either. And you don't have a thread where everybody can reply to every part of the thread. You just have, here's my thing, and one little comment.
Yeah. And
so it allows you to better articulate yourself and your position. And I think it's less likely for everyone to dogpile on you, to retweet and quote, to say, look at this idiot.
Yeah.
I think Twitter is, it's designed to be addictive like a video game. So I hear you. But for me, and I said this the other day on Twitter, at the very minimum, I would stay on social media, but I would no longer post. Because I'll tell you one thing that's great about Twitter. I love going online on a Twitter and I will search words like becoming Catholic or convert Catholic.
That's neat, yeah.
So I search that. And then people tag me sometimes when they come across these things. And I've asked people to, and go ahead, if you see this, by the way, on social media, tag me. Where they come across someone who says, hey, y'all, I think I'm going to do it. I'm thinking of becoming Catholic. I don't know where to start. Or I'm really doubting atheism, but I don't know what book to read. And then I'll jump in there and I'll direct message that person. Hey, can I get your email? I'll send you my book. And I hope that it's helpful for you. And I love just immediately.
Yeah, that's really
And
cool.
I would have never met that person 30 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
So for me, that is so invaluable to be able to do that. It's worth it, but I would have to have strict guidelines that I just don't post. I'm not going to post.
That's fair enough. I'm just wondering, though, at what point does our existence on Twitter set a bad example for people who don't have that self-control and are getting their life sucked out of them? Whereas if we stood up and went, you know what, this is no longer healthy, I'm leaving.
Well, it's like anything. Now, what's interesting here is it goes back to the early church, like St. Paul and he talking about meat and idols. Saying that, you know, there are some people who are strong enough Christians, they can eat meat sacrificed to idols and not fall back into idolatry. But some people were not strong enough.
It would seem that the majority of people are not strong enough to use social media because social media is too powerful for their brains.
Laura was like that. She went on once and she's like, I deleted it. I can't do this.
Can't do it.
So
the anxiety is through the roof.
But that's the thing. It's just like anything. Some people can't have alcohol.
Neil, are you on social media?
Yeah.
What do you like the most and what do you hate the most?
Well, okay.
And what are you under so people can go follow you so you'll feel important?
That's okay. I like, let's see. I think that the stuff that kind of makes me laugh the most I see on Twitter.
Yeah.
So I don't really use it for so much, you know, I'm on like, you know, Catholic Twitter and plugged into that.
What do people mean by Catholic Twitter?
So there's like just a certain number of...
I don't even know.
So like if you can imagine like the Daily Wire type, they would follow everybody from Daily Wire and have like a list of people who they would be in their feed and then responses and things like that.
Yeah.
That would kind of be like the Daily Wire Twitter or like that group Twitter.
So people that have similar follows and preferences. Well, I'll tell you, the social media I probably spend the most time on is YouTube.
Yeah.
When I discovered YouTube, I didn't work for 5 days. Michael Scott.
I like YouTube a lot.
Well, I
Michael Scott. Yeah.
Well, I like YouTube actually because when I'm working or doing things or I'm tired, I will put on. I like educational videos. And funny ones and things just on random topics like civil engineering or how boats work.
Just real quick though, what was your favorite? I just wanted to get that out.
Well, if YouTube counts, I'd say YouTube. I just and what
worst.
I like on it is
sorry, you go.
The worst would be TikTok.
Yeah,
definitely. Because
talk about truncating human
TikTok,
interaction.
I can't like YouTube. It's like I would love to watch a 12-minute video to understand card counting, but TikTok, I can't watch like a 1-minute video of people yelling at me. And weird even Catholic Answers make TikToks now, and they're doing a good job with it. But I told them, I'm like, I'm not part of this generation. I can't.
But they shouldn't be part of that generation. A woman came up to me yesterday and said her son was on TikTok, and she said, "But if that's the worst thing he's doing," I'm like, "Yeah, that's the worst thing he could possibly do."
But are we gonna not go? But if we're not there, who will be there?
See, this is where I'm not sure if that's a good argument or not, and I'm trying to think that through. An example would be if the metaverse takes over and the majority of us are in it, there will be Catholic missionaries in the metaverse, and that makes me want to throw up. Maybe that's a good thing, but I'm not convinced that it is, that we should go everywhere. Maybe, I know as soon as I say that, I realize that's probably a wrong thing to think. We should go everywhere. But the only reason we should be in the metaverse is to get people out of the metaverse.
Well, like, you know, should we have had, you know, 400 or 500 years ago, missionaries walking through the red light districts, talking to people who are there just to find prostitutes and alcohol?
So long as they don't set up shop there and start a Patreon account, yes. But my fear is we're going to set up shop in the metaverse, evacuate from all of the parishes and human places, and we go where the money is, just like now. Aren't the majority of young Catholics who go to Franciscan probably more interested in starting a YouTube account than being one-on-one ministry?
But it just has to be balanced, and I think that's the key with anything that we have in life. Like I said, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, tobacco, whether it's exercise, there's anything you can take that you can go completely extreme with. Now, there's some things it's easier to abuse than others. Like I think it's easier to abuse social media than alcohol. Because alcohol hurts really fast and you start to realize, I really don't want that. The pain from abusing social media is not as explicit.
Yeah.
And so you wade into it deeper. But anything can be abused. So, but I would just be, you're right, I don't like TikTok at all. Like, I also haven't even been really creating content for it. I just hate having to truncate it to like a 2-minute answer to things. But there's other people who are good at that. I don't know. I think that we just have to lead by example and encourage people to have balance and temperance in all things. If you can't handle it, don't be on there. Set guidelines for yourself. If you can, keep an eye out for it. But I still think it's because if we're not there, because you can make the same argument for YouTube. I'm sure the way we think about TikTok now, that's how a lot of
That's right.
people a generation beyond us thought of YouTube in 2005.
But that's what scares me. Like, I'm 3 minutes away from deleting my YouTube account constantly because I think
No,
I won't do that.
But even Twitter.
No, I do believe YouTube
Why would you get rid of
can
Twitter?
be good.
Your Twitter.
Because, as an example.
I mean, you're not even on it, right?
I don't run it, no, but I got suspended recently. That was fun. But then I went back on, and I just think it's a god-awful fire hellscape. And I had one idea that I would do a live stream and try to find 100 people who would quit with me, and then I would just cancel my Twitter account, because I think for the vast majority of people, it's detrimental to them. It's not a helpful, healthy place to be. And I see your point, moderation and all that. I just want to, are there some social medias, platforms, even that you can think of in the future that would be so detrimental that they're just not worth being on?
Yeah, if it turns into a point where it's just...
You can say one word.
Right.
Jesus. See, I'm evangelizing.
Oh, it's like, do you ever see Idiocracy?
Yeah, a long time ago, yeah.
I worry social media is extrapolating into that point. I don't know. I think I'll know it when I see it.
Yeah.
But...
I'd say, Matt, it seems to me that whenever you're on a social media platform, at the end of the day, you're just still interacting with people. You're still interacting with another person. It's still communication of some sort, whether it's like limited in this way or that way. It's still just communication. Mm-hmm. So I think that whether it lends itself to, like toxicity on Twitter or just brain candy on TikTok, at the end of the day, it's hard to say that something is just flat out bad. No one should be on there for any reason ever. And you should, try to burn it down because it's just people talking to people and communicating.
Yeah, I agree. Because the problem, you say like it's a dumpster fire. Well, because of original sin, humanity is a dumpster fire.
So, and what did God do with Noah, right? He regretted it and he wiped them all out. And that's what I'm saying. No,
that's a figure. There's a figure of speech.
That's fair. I know.
But
this is just this is the first time I've really tried to think this through, though. It's like, can a social media platform be so deleterious to human conversation that it's worth getting off and encouraging everybody else to get off? And if so, what does that look like?
Then I guess I would ask you this for your Twitter page or for your YouTube. Does your Twitter page and your YouTube people, is it more likely to lead someone to virtue or to vice?
It depends on the day.
No, but when would you rather have them be on your page than on somebody else's?
I would rather them be on my page than somebody else's for the most part, but I'd
rather have them be offline, but they're going to be there.
Yeah. Doesn't that scare you, though, the metaverse, Catholic missionaries in the metaverse, and that's their job?
We're wearing like goggles and we're in the VR.
Time to go evangelize. And they lay down in their comfy boy chair and comfy boy. It's not they're called that at all. Lazy boy. Doesn't that scare you? That could happen soon?
I don't know. 100 years ago, I'm sure Catholics would be terrified that this is evangelism.
And maybe they were right.
But we've also reached so many more people.
That's right.
I mean, there's always... It was Thomas Sowell is an economist who said, there's no free, I think it was Friedman, I think, who said there's no free lunch. But Sowell said there are only trade-offs. That whenever you institute a policy, you're going to, in order to get something, you have to give up something.
That's so true. So
in every decision we make, there are trade-offs. So I think we have to ask, with social media, is the trade-off worth it? And I think it is not worth it if, like, for me, I would delete my account if I was just on there all the time. Or like, I don't do debates on Twitter. I think that's incredibly unproductive. It's not helpful. Occasionally, I do get sucked into a few, but I bow out very quickly because it's not a good use of my time. I try to go, I'll post something that I think is helpful, and especially I'll send people books to help them. But I think if you're wasting your time on social media, and use your screen time app, set a limit for yourself. That is where I think you've got to, it's just the same as if you were at the bar all the time instead of being out in the real world with people.
All right, so let me just kind of wrap this up.
Sure.
I want to go to a break and then come back and take people's questions. But
Sure.
The original question was, can you think or conceive of a social media that you would say it's actually worth us getting off this, that's not like intrinsically wicked, like pornography or something? Or do you think, no, I think...
Well, the problem is if it's not intrinsically evil, then it would just be, you would have to have a proportionate reason.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for something to be so bad, I couldn't think of a proportional reason.
Yeah. Okay.
I suppose if it was, I don't know, if the activity on there was just it was just people objectifying others, the most base instincts possible. Like maybe there's a social media where all they do is they vote on how cool a street fight is or how hot somebody is, and that's all we do on this thing.
I see.
And there's little chats off to the side.
I see.
I'd be like, nah, I can't be there. Even if I'm in the chat, like, you guys heard of Jesus? They're like, look at him deck this guy and check out that hot babe. And
you guys heard of Jesus?
Yeah.
Who wants a free book?
Yeah, like if
okay, so there you go. That's a good answer.
Yeah,
so you can think theoretically of a social media that isn't showing intrinsically evil things that you think no. At that point, Catholics should
it just would be so unproductive if I'm not able to really engage people.
But you don't think Twitter and TikTok are there yet?
I don't think they're there yet.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. It reminds me, like, we could have had this debate like 1,000 years ago. Actually, the ecumenical councils forbade Christians from being involved in jousting. So it's like, should we go to the fair and talk to people, to invite them to come to mass? But there are jousts there, Matthew. The joust has been condemned by the church, and you're going to go to that place to invite people. They're heathens now. It's just like, they also said you couldn't use crossbows against fellow Christians. You could use them against Muslims. But you could not use a crossbow.
On that note, we're going to take a break and we'll be back to take some questions.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below letting us know what you thought about the video.